I'd been preparing for months. Every night after my shift at the diner, I'd push the tables to the edges of our cramped living room, connect my second-hand Bluetooth speaker, and run the same routine again and again until my legs throbbed. This wasn't just a school recital, it was the audition that could win me a full scholarship to a performing arts college 2 states away. If I nailed it, I could finally leave this house. Leave them, maybe for good. In my family, wanting anything for myself was practically begging to be torn down. That morning, the air was already thick with burned toast and stale cigarette smoke. Mom sat at the kitchen table, scrolling her phone, tapping her nails on a chipped mug. She didn't look up. Dad sat opposite her, glued to a blaring sports recap, a beer sweating in his hand at 8 in the morning. "You're up early," Mom muttered, eyes still on her screen. "I have to be," I said evenly. "The recital's today." Dad turned, not with pride, never pride, but with the smirk that meant he'd found a new target. "Oh, right, your little twirling show," he said, "spinning around for strangers who don't even know your name. It's an audition, Dad. If I get in, don't waste our time talking about things that aren't going to happen," he cut in. Mom gave a small laugh, like that was the most reasonable thing in the world. I swallowed my reply. Survival here meant silence. I made toast, retreated to my room, and dressed. The midnight blue chiffon swayed like water when I moved, bought months ago with diner tips, hidden from them until now, hair slicked into a bun. I almost looked like someone who belonged on stage. I should have known better than to walk into the living room like that. Dad's eyes locked on me. He set his beer down, tilted his head, and let out a slow, mocking whistle. "Well, look at you," he drawled, "playing dress up like you matter." "It's for the recital," I said, adjusting my hair. "I have to get there early." "You mean go embarrass yourself?" He leaned forward. "At least your legs work, for now." I didn't understand until I tried to pass him. In a flash, his boot hooked out. My legs went from under me, my knee slamming the floor with a crack that sent pain screaming up my thigh. I grabbed the couch to keep from hitting my face. Leaning back, he grinned like a kid who'd just won a game. "Now they match your life," he said, broken. Mom didn't even glance up from her mug. She took a sip, then said, "Maybe you can limp through your little show. They might give you pity points." The words hit harder than the fall. The room seemed to tilt, my humiliation burning hotter than the ache in my knee. Every practice, every late-night routine, every fragile dream had been for this day, and they couldn't care less. I stood slowly, swallowing the pain, and walked to the door without a word. But inside, something sharp had taken root. Whatever happened next, I was done letting them write my ending. The walk to the community center felt endless. My right knee screamed with each step, heat building beneath the skin. Through the glass doors, I saw the other dancers warming up, their parents lined along the walls with flowers, cameras, and soft chatter. I limped inside, clutching my dance bag. "Are you all right?" the receptionist asked, eyes narrowing. "Just tripped," I lied. "I'm fine." I wasn't. The swelling made each stretch a battle, but if I told the truth, they'd pull me from the lineup, not after everything. Backstage was a blur of sequins, laughter, and hairspray. Delilah spotted me tightening my knee wrap. Her eyes widened. "What happened?" she whispered. "Home," I said. That was enough. Her expression hardened with quiet understanding. The minutes slipped by. One dancer after another glided under the lights, the audience clapping politely between routines. My slot was last. When the stagehand called my name, I stepped into the glare. The crowd was a blur, except for them. Back row, Dad with his arms folded, bored, Mom scrolling her phone, not even looking up. The music swelled. I moved, forcing my body to obey, every spin a jolt of fire in my knee. I refused to let them or anyone see the pain. The audience was here for beauty, not brokenness. Halfway through, agony shot so sharply through my leg I nearly stumbled. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. I caught myself, kept going, and pushed harder until the final note faded. I held my last pose, breathless, the silence stretching long enough to feel like a lifetime. My knee trembled, my chest heaved. The applause came louder than I'd dared hope. Some people even stood. I bowed, swallowing the ache in my throat. Then I heard it, Dad's voice, pitched just enough to carry. Guess the limp was part of the act. A few heads turned. Heat flooded my face. Mom laughed beside him, shaking her head like I was a joke they'd been waiting to tell. I held my bow a heartbeat longer, then walked off stage as if their words hadn't touched me. In the dressing room, I sat before the mirror. Sweat clung to my temples, lipstick smudged at the corner of my mouth. I didn't see a failure. I saw someone who had taken the hit and was still upright, barely, but upright. The door opened. A tall woman with silver hair and a clipboard stepped in. "You have beautiful technique," she said, "but I could see you were in pain. If you'd like to reschedule for a private audition, I can make that happen." Her kindness nearly cracked me open. I thanked her, voice tight, and accepted her card. Outside, the sun was already sinking. My parents leaned against the car, waiting. "Well," Dad said, "you proved me wrong. You can still dance on a busted leg. Not well, but still." Mom smirked. "Guess we don't have to worry about that college anymore. Saves us the trouble." That's when it hit me, they'd wanted this. Not because they doubted me, but because my failure kept me small, kept me theirs. I slid into the back seat without a word, my hand tight around the business card. I wasn't thinking about their insults anymore. I was thinking about what came next. 2 weeks passed before I saw them again, by my choice. The morning after the recital, I'd called the judge, calm, steady. She arranged a private audition at a studio 2 towns over. No audience, no whispers, no laughter from the back row. I danced like my life depended on it, sharper turns, cleaner landings, every breath soaked in defiance. When the music ended, the judge didn't clap. She stepped closer, eyes warm, like she was looking at something rare. "You're in," she said. I didn't ask about tuition. I didn't have to. But my plan was never just to leave. Leaving would let them believe they'd driven me out. No, I wanted them to see me walk away on the legs my father tried to take from me, and know they'd never get close enough to hurt me again. I started small, quiet. At home, I became unreadable, no reaction to Dad's muttered, "Guess you're limping for attention now." No anger when Mom told relatives on speakerphone, "She's wasting her time with that dance nonsense." I stopped giving them anything to feed on. Piece by piece, my life disappeared from the house, costumes, savings jar, even the framed childhood photo from under the TV, all gone before they noticed. They never noticed. Then came the night I'd been waiting for, dinner with their friends, the people they were desperate to impress. I dressed neatly, not for them, but for the role I needed to play. Halfway through the meal, Dad smirked across the table. "So, are you done with your little hobby yet, or should we start shopping for wheelchairs?" The table laughed politely, unsure if it was humor or malice. "Actually," I said, smiling, "I got into a full scholarship program. I'm moving next week." Silence. Forks froze midair. Mom's smile cracked. "A scholarship? For you?" "Yeah, they called me exceptional. Guess they didn't see the waste of time you've been talking about." I let the words settle, then slid an envelope across the table, my acceptance letter and an invitation to my first national competition. VIP tickets required, months in advance. "Front row seats," I said softly, "if you can afford them." Dad's jaw tightened. "You think you're better than us now?" "No," I said, leaning forward, "I know I am." I stood, thanked their friends, and left. That night, I didn't go home. My bags were already waiting at Layers. They called, they texted, first angry, then pleading, then nothing. Months later, at the national competition, I spotted them at the very back of the auditorium. They hadn't bought the front row seats. They stood far enough away that they couldn't touch the moment. I danced anyway, every movement deliberate, every step a reminder. When the ovation came, I didn't scan the crowd. I looked straight at them. Their faces were pale, their mouths tight. For the first time, they looked small. I bowed, rose, and turned my back on them, the way they had done to me countless times. Then I walked away, my legs carrying me farther than they ever believed they could.